Hi, senior parents. I'm Jen Salerno, and I'm the senior class moderator here at Resurrection College Prep. I have been doing the senior class for probably the last 10 or 11 years, and I am in charge of all things senior. So I am the go-to person if you have any questions about caps and gowns, about diplomas, about prom, about graduation. Unfortunately, I don't have too many concrete answers at this time due to the state of the way the world is right now. I can tell you that we do have a venue booked for prom. Prom will be Friday, May 14th, and it will be at the Westin O'Hare, where we have held it for the last few years, aside from last year. And if all things go back to somewhat normal, it will be held there. In the event that we have to cancel it, we will just have to decide what to do in terms of an alternative for prom based on the current CDC guidelines. We did have a graduation last year for our students that was that we were an alternative graduation here at the school. It is our plan to host graduation at Holy Name Cathedral again, like we have in years past. But again, depending on what the guidelines are at the time of graduation, we will have to see how things pan out. Again, know that the school will make every effort to come up with an alternative plan so that your daughter's accomplishments do not go unnoticed. They deserve to be celebrated. They deserve to have an opportunity to share in that joy with their teachers and their parents. So as that information is forthcoming, I will be sure to pass it on to you. Normally on this night, I have a timeline to give you, but with things so up in the air, we're just going to hold off until we have a better understanding of what the spring is going to look like. In terms of some graduation issues, or I shouldn't say issues, graduation details, I will be in touch with Jostens. I'm not sure how usually our representative from Jostens comes to show the girls, give their girls their Jostens packet, which will have information about ordering their caps and gowns, ordering their graduation announcements if that's something you want, or any other kind of graduation accessories that your daughters might be interested in. Usually that happens in October, so I am waiting to hear from the rep to see how that's going to look because of the COVID regulations. Please know that the cap and gown that your daughters get when they do get the packet is at no additional charge to you. That is incorporated into their graduation fee that you pay along with their tuition. So when they get this Jostens packet, they simply need to fill out a little card with all of their pertinent information, height, weight, name, address, that sort of thing, and send it in. That's all they need to do. The cap and gown gets delivered here. There's no charge for anything additional. However, at a certain point that they don't send it in, there will be a late fee attached to, once the caps and gowns are delivered here at school, then there's a late fee attached to it if you still have not ordered your caps and gowns. So again, I will be forwarding information regarding that as soon as I have that available. The first major form that will be coming your way in the next probably couple weeks will be your daughter's diploma form. I will be posting this form to the senior class Schoology page in the next few weeks. I ask that your daughters print it out and that you and your daughter go over it and fill it out. It's simply asking for you to print your daughter's name exactly the way you want it on her diploma. So any accent marks, any capitalizations, any spacing in between words, we ask that you indicate all of that on this form, and then you parents need to sign off on it so that we know that you have approved of what your daughter has written down for her diploma name. Once that's filled out, your daughter will simply bring the form to the main office. And as I said, they don't even know this is coming yet. So I'll probably have it posted in the next couple of weeks, probably by October 1st, it will be available for them to print off of the Schoology page. Other than that, I don't really have much more to tell you that is set in stone. Nothing's really set in stone this year. But please rest assured that I, along with your daughter's teachers and the administration and staff here at Res, are going to do everything we can to make this year as special for our seniors as possible. They had a rough end to their junior year, and we're going to do our best to make sure that as many of the fun senior moments that they have come to expect here at Res will still happen in some capacity. If there's any questions you have regarding anything senior, please don't hesitate to reach out. My email address is jsalerno@reshs.org. I look forward to a wonderful senior year with your girls, and congratulations to the class of 2021.
Hi, I'm Miss Manso. I work with students with the last names A through K. I also help Miss Masura with the college process and helping girls prepare for their life after Res.
Hi, I'm Molly Lamick. I am the Generalist Counselor for students with the last names L through Z, and I am also here to support your daughter in the college planning and application process.
Good evening, parents. I am Miss Masura, Blythe Masura. I am the new college counselor, and just wanted to go through some of the important stuff to know, I guess, for the seniors, so for you students, and for parents. I have been meeting with many of the senior girls. I'm trying to get to all of them before October, and then as October rolls around, if anybody needs to continue meeting or meeting again, I am available for that as well. Some of the things we've been meeting about will be in these slides, but I'm also going to go more in depth as to what the seniors should be doing this year. So here in this presentation, I believe will be posted as well. So some of the things we will be going through, as you can see here, the different roles that I'll be taking, the counselors will be taking, the student should take, and then you as a parent should be doing. The search process. At this point, it's not too late to start searching for colleges. And some seniors that I've spoken to, they're still in that search process, so I just kind of have some information in there that's helpful with that search process. Submitting applications, test requirements, COVID updates, because that's very important, important deadlines, Naviance, a Naviance how-to, and some scholarship resources. I kind of hit upon the student role as far as researching. So colleges, scholarships, and deadlines. That's what the student should be doing, along with completing the forms for teachers, counselors, as far as requesting letters of recommendation. And then once they've done all that research and they maybe have a really solid list of schools is when they should start completing those applications. I've told all the girls that I met with already that I am available to seek out to help with that application process along with essays. So if girls need me to read essays or help them with the application, whether it's sitting with them and doing the actual application with them, or them sending me screenshots of different questions they may have, I am available for that, for students and for parents. The other thing is planning college visits. I know with this pandemic, a lot of that came to a halt. However, just know that a lot of schools are now opening back up and they're allowing visiting to go on the campus. It may be in a limited setting, or they may have a limit to how many visits they allow each day, but it's still happening. And that's really the best way to know whether or not a college is going to be a good fit for you. The other thing is attending college informational sessions. I am still having colleges do virtual visits at Resurrection. So that's something important to know. We'll have those virtual visits. I'm also having people who are going to come in and help with workshops, whether it's college essay writing, financial aid, things like that, things that are beneficial to the students. As a parent, helping to guide the college process, letting your daughter know what's the expectation. Do you want your daughter to stay in Illinois? Do you want, a certain school, a certain closeness? Are you expecting a certain amount of money and you won't pay more than that? Just all of these conversations are very good to have. Attending a college night virtually, so that's what you guys are doing. So that's great because this is going to have a lot of information for you. Assisting with planning the campus visits, and just kind of hearing the student out, hearing your daughter. What does she want to do? What are her thoughts? Where is she on this? And then completing the FAFSA, which opens up October 1st. We will be having a financial aid info night October 8th. So be on the lookout for that. And I'll hopefully get all that out to you soon. The counselor role. So that's to provide education about the college search process. So I've been meeting with the girls. I've also been planning the rep visits. I attend several workshops, especially this year in regards to the updates with COVID, writing letters of recommendation, and then I will also be the one sending out your daughter's transcripts and any other forms related to the college application. Just something important to note, and I will kind of touch on that later on in the presentation, but different ways to search for college and how we have a great resource with Naviance and to really utilize the resources that we have available to us. Here it is, the search process. So exploring online, and I had stated that that's through Naviance, the student.naviance.com/resurrection. That's our Naviance website. Now, if you can see here, that's the advanced search option, which I love. And for any student that comes to me and says, I don't know where I want to go or what I want to do, 9 times out of 10, I'm still able to find a really great college list for them because those students typically know what they don't want to do or where they don't want to go. So if you can see here, there's school type. You can choose by, public, private. You can choose by location. A lot of those students that say, I don't know what I want to do, but I know where I want to go. Typically, those students have something in mind as to what they do want, what they don't want, but they may feel lost as to where that can lead them. This advanced search option in Naviance is fantastic when it comes to students who really don't know what they want to do. Some other things to consider when you're thinking about college is the location, the cost, the size. Does your daughter want a big school? Does she want a small school? Because that's very important. She may decide like, hey, I'm only looking at small schools, go to visit them and realize, nope, I want a big school. So that's why that whole approach, all of it is very important. Fields of study, if you want to go into a specific study, if you want pre-law, pre-med, what should you go into? What schools are known for that? Journalism, I know, several schools don't even have that major anymore, but then there's some that you can find that really thrive and have a great program for that. And it's the same, with other majors as well, especially when you're being so specific. Personal factors, if you want a school that has a lot of religion attached, a religious affiliation, a single sex school or setting. If you want a school in a rural or suburban or maybe, a more urban school, just a lot of things to take into consideration for that. I have had many girls ask, how many is too many and how many is not enough? The number of applications, it's definitely, as this says, a personal decision. I think anywhere from 4 to 6 schools is perfect. I feel like if you're teetering on the 1 to 2 schools, there's nothing wrong with that if you have a top choice and that's the only place you want to go. The only thing that worries me is that these girls are seniors in high school. Just a few months ago, they were juniors. Things change. They don't have to make that decision until May. What if in May they decide, I don't want to go to either one of these schools, I should have done this. So that's why I kind of urge more schools. If you're getting into like 7 to 10 schools, it's just a lot in the end to have to make a decision. So that's why the 1 to 2 safety schools, I know I'm going to get in, and wouldn't be the worst thing in the world if I had to go. Your 2 to 3 match schools, like, this is an easy one. I may or may not get in, but gosh, they have this great program. And then 1 to 2 reach schools, like, I've always dreamed about going to such and such school. For me, I had always dreamed about going to Bradley, and that was my reach, my match, my safety, and ended up going there and loving it. But, it's different for everybody. Submitting materials. So seniors are expected to apply online, and that's either through the commonapp.org or through the college website. Once you make that list of what colleges you will be applying to, I would say go to the college website, see if they have how their application is. Is it only online or is it only Common App? So some things to be aware of. If most of your schools are Common App, it's kind of a no-brainer. I would just go on Common App and apply just because it's easily accessible. You put your whole application on there and it's just a click of the button to add the colleges and just add them on Common App, and then you apply through there. Once you've completed your application is when you will request or when you will have teachers send the letters of recommendation in Naviance. So that process should be happening prior to the application process, but once you've applied, that's when teachers should be sending those letters of rec. And then again, after the application process, that's when you should be submitting, sending test scores if you choose to do so, and submitting the transcripts or requesting those transcripts to be sent. And the reason for that is that if you have a letter of rec, test scores, and transcripts sent prior to completing your application, they will not have your name or an application on file. 9 times out of 10, this is when all of this gets lost because there's no file to connect it to. Once you've applied, they have your name, they have your file, and as information starts coming in, they can then put it in that pile and they are able to access it. Just keep in mind that, you probably want to keep those deadlines in mind, and I'll talk about this later, to make sure that your letters of rec, scores, and transcripts are sent even prior to that deadline as well. Completing applications. So just make sure that you're reading the application carefully. Be aware of everything that you're needed for the application, what they require. Some schools want a letter of recommendation, some don't. Some want an essay, some don't. So just keep that in mind. I know schools are a little more lenient on this. However, I know in the past, University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign, when they would receive letters of recommendation, or test scores or transcripts, they were not test optional, but they didn't require any of that for the application process. So self-reporting school. So when they would receive these, it would actually count against the student because they were not following directions. Again, I know schools have become a little more lenient on that. And I know that process has changed, but just still something to keep in mind. If the school doesn't want it, don't send it. So just be aware of that. Make sure you're proofreading the application in all essays. And again, I'm more than happy to help out with this. I've had several girls already ask me to proofread their essays, and I have no problem continuing to do that. Be aware of admission criteria, GPA, ACT, if they require certain classes, if they want 4 years of a science, 3 years of a foreign language, something like that, just be aware of that. If you've only taken 2 years of a foreign language and they require 3 years, they will question you and come back and ask, well, why have you only taken 2 years or 3 years? So just be aware of that. Test requirements. So just something to think about. I'm just going to go over this briefly because I'm going to touch on it later on. But this is just the way to send the ACT and SAT if you have taken it. Resurrection does not send test scores because we, are unable to send, and I think any school really, we don't send the official test scores. That would be up to you for it to come in an envelope and be coming from your request. Now do keep in mind that once you take the ACT or SAT, they do allow for, I believe it's 4 free tests, and you would sign up for that on the website. So you can have 4 schools on your list that you can send the test to for free. Any questions on that, feel free to contact me. You can also contact ACT or SAT about that as well. Okay, so important things to know with COVID. Students will be evaluated based on a holistic review, meaning their application, so what you put on your application, and keep in mind that is your time to brag. Write about, what you're most proud of, what you think makes you look good, what makes you unique. Put that in your application. The major that you intend to go into, your GPA, your course rigor. So have you taken honors classes, AP classes, or, have you taken just, the regular track, but you've done really well? Essay, and then any extracurricular / leadership opportunities. So all of those things is what you'll be, what will be the deciding factor. So just something to keep in mind. And as you notice there, that, that's test optional, which if you choose test optional for a lot of schools, you then do not have the option, especially U of I, Urbana, Champaign, you don't have the option to later on send your test. So if you're choosing test optional, then they're just going to look at it as the holistic approach. Now I know I'm going to have a lot of questions on that. The holistic approach and choosing test optional. If you did fantastic on your ACT, by all means send it, because it can only help you. They're looking at, here's the holistic approach with your application, your GPA, things like that. Let's say you add your ACT into that. Does your ACT bring it up, or do you think it's just going to stay the same? Do you have a 4.2 GPA and, a 24, 23 ACT? It might just stay the same. If you got like a 36, by all means put it in there. It will look good. Again, it's not going to hurt you, but if it's not going to help you, you don't need to put it in. So, let's just say this is your application and everything with the ACT. This is it without. Let's say you did really well, it'll be here. Without, it's still going to be here. So just something to think about. And then to touch on that a little bit more, 3/5 of the colleges and universities, they're going test optional. More and more really are. If you have not taken the test at all and you're applying to a school that absolutely requires it, I mean, there's then we talk. Then you contact me. There's really nothing schools can do at this point if you have not been able to take it to make you take it. And just something to keep in mind that with everything going on, not only is it not going to affect your acceptance, but it's also not going to affect scholarships as well. More and more schools are saying that scholarships and acceptance rate are based on the GPA and the holistic review and not so much the test. So if you have not taken the test yet and you're worried about scholarships, I would not worry that much. Okay, important deadlines. I know I've touched a little bit on how important deadlines are and to keep track of that. So October 15th, November 1st, November 15th, these are usually the high priority dates to be aware of. Early action. Typically, early action starts November 1st, November 15th, December 1st. These are the early action dates slash priority. A lot of priority is December 1st as well. So something to keep in mind with early action. You receive a decision back earlier. The other situation with that is if you're applying early, schools tend to take a bigger chunk of their acceptances based on early action. So what this means is that, they might, let's say you have a 3.0 and you're applying to U of I. I think their early action date is November 15th, but they might see you and see that holistic approach and say, we want someone like her. We're looking to get at least 75% of our beds filled during this early action. Okay, so they now have their 75% of beds filled with that early action pool. It is now after the early action date, and they only have 25% of beds to fill. Are they going to still choose that 3.0 student, or are they now going to want to up those standards and start looking at like the 3.5, 3.75 students? So something to definitely think about. So not only do you receive a decision back sooner, typically they're more lenient on who they accept as well. So there's really no drawback at all to early action. You're done early with your applications, which is always great. So just something to think about. Early decision is binding. Let's say that again. Early decision is binding. That means that if you apply to a school early decision and you get in, you are going to that school. Typically, not many schools have it. It's more the elite Ivy League schools that have early decision, but something to keep in mind. If Northwestern is your top choice and you're applying early decision and you get in, you are going. But early decision is similar in the aspect of early action is they're going to take a bigger pool from that early decision. So your chances of getting into the school early decision are better. But just keep in mind, if you get accepted, you are going. Then rolling admissions, and that's just, they're going to make those deciding factors as applications come in. And then regular admission is just, applying regularly to a school, nothing special. You'll find out probably at a certain date, maybe next semester, when you get in. Just keep in mind that every school is different. You will need to look on the school's website and see what they say as far as the deadlines, but definitely be aware of that. It is very important. Okay, some other deadlines, October 15th. Just to kind of keep in mind, let's say you have an October 15th deadline, complete one application, by October 15th, and then submit all applications with a November 1st deadline by October 15th. I think that's a good general rule to live by. To have a couple of weeks for then teachers and for myself to then send everything else, for you to then request to have that ACT send. That could take a couple weeks. Typically, the letter of recommendation and the transcripts are sent right away, but sometimes there can be that lag time, especially when it comes closer to the deadlines. Things tend to slow down a bit because everyone's working last minute. So just some of those dates to be aware of. Okay, Naviance. Now this is kind of very important. Naviance is this great resource that we have. It's a college and career readiness tool. What you can do a career interest inventory to find out if you're really lost, you don't know what you want to do. You add all your interests up on there, and in the end it kind of shoots out some careers that would be great based on your responses. You can take it even further, and then based on those careers you can then look at what majors you would have to major in. Then you can look at what schools within the area have that major. So it's a really fantastic tool. There's also the Supermatch college search, which you can based on other students like you, GPA, ACT, you can then look to see what colleges would be interested in you. Naviance also has a calendar of all the colleges coming to visit, which is great. And then the college search, which I kind of showed you a little bit earlier, but that college search, once you are searching for the college and you're going on searching through Naviance, you can check the average price, graduation rate, what average GPA, admissions, majors, different things that they have. It's just a really great tool. So this is the website again to sign on to Naviance and kind of what it looks like when you first sign on. Requesting transcripts. So again, once you've applied to the school, you're going to request transcripts. I've posted some videos on this on Schoology, so your daughter should be able to show you that. But this is kind of, just some guidelines for that. Complete the transcript request form, or put it on Naviance. I would do both, just to make sure that all our bases are covered. And then, make sure that you're requesting it and giving me enough time. I've had students in the past that, December 31st, there's a January 1st deadline, and they're asking to have transcripts sent. Now just keep in mind that, December 31st is a holiday. Not only is the system probably going to be a little slower, the schools might be closed down. Our school will not be in session either, so I may or may not be able to check those emails. So general rule, 10 business days is a fantastic rule to have. This is a screenshot of all the college visits. So this is kind of what it looks like. And you can see there, you can attend the visit. You have a list of all the colleges coming to visit, when, who the representative is, things like that. And then I have some screenshots as well to kind of help with how to add the applications, which you can see is on the left. That's how to add, and then how to request transcripts is on the right. And again, I've added a video on Schoology as well, which should be helpful for that process too. Letters of recommendation. This one, it's on the colleges I'm applying to tab underneath your list of colleges. You see here it says colleges that I'm attending. Underneath that, letters of recommendation. And that's where you would then click on and request your letter of rec from your teacher. Now this will be after they say yes, you put it on Naviance. After they say yes and you ask them either via email or in person, a couple of things, you will want to send them a brag sheet. unless you have a really fantastic relationship with you and they have plenty that they can say based on how long they've known you, what they know about you, I would definitely send a brag sheet. You're sending them everything that you've done that they may not be aware of. I, in the past, not only was a counselor, but I was a coach, and all the girls that I coached, they wanted letters of rec. I still had them send brag sheets to me. And I can't even tell you, how many that I thought I really knew, and I found out like there was so much about them that I didn't know they were involved in, and it was not only fantastic to see, but then I could write about that in their letter, as opposed to the typical I was the dance coach and things like that, which was important to have and made them look better. The brag sheet is about you bragging on yourself. What's so great about you? Why? What should I tell the school about you? So just something to keep in mind. Financial aid. So once you get into this school, then comes the fun part, deciding what school you're going to and then figuring out how much you have to pay. October 1st, the FAFSA does open. With that being said, I know it can be a very confusing process. So if you don't start on October 1st and apply, totally understandable. I would definitely try to get it done by the end of October. I will have someone coming in to help out with that process. October 8th, we will have a financial aid night. And then starting October 9th through November 6th, I believe, every Friday during that time frame, we will have a FAFSA Friday. So someone from the same lady who's going to present for our financial night will be available every Friday to help with the FAFSA process. You can also get her information from the financial aid night, and if you need her to help out beyond those FAFSA Fridays, she's able to meet with you virtually, or I think only virtually at this point, but she can help you with that process and completing everything. Something to know is that there's a sticker price versus the actual price. On every school's website, there's what's called the net price calculator. And sometimes it's more difficult to find on other websites, so all I do is I search for net price calculator on the college website. You'll put in information like GPA, siblings, parents, income, things like that. They may ask for classes, they may ask for other things, but all that information is helpful. They can then give you a pretty accurate estimate as to how much you will actually be paying for the school. So that sticker price is never, 90% of the time, not the actual price that you will really be paying. So that's why the net price calculator is so important. Okay, so after you submit the materials, again, I talked about this application process can be overwhelming, it can be scary, so I feel like that takes precedence over everything. After you're done with that process is when you should really start thinking about the financial aspect of it all. So you can look for scholarships, and I have a list of scholarships or scholarship websites on here. FastWeb is one of my favorites just because you sign up for that and you do it based on the type of student or person you are, and they send you scholarships based on that. Scholarships that match more so with GPA, where you're thinking of going to school, your major, things like that. So it's a really great website. So I know that was all a lot that I kind of threw at you. I will be doing a Q&A, a live Q&A after this as well, so be on the lookout. Here's all my information. If you do have questions, again, this will be posted on the website, my email address, my phone number. If you need to get a hold of me for any reason, if I don't answer your questions or you still have more, or you need me, to go through step by step of the process, I'm more than happy to do that. So thank you so much, and have a great evening.